everyone, and welcome to WGBS TV Live, brought to you by SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. In this, our September 29th, 2020 show, we're going to be talking about a couple of different Superman topics, including possibilities of new scenes being shot for Zack Snyder's Justice League. We're going to be talking about some collectibles, comic books, and so much more. We're also going to be turning to you to ask you to give us your questions and comments on any particular Superman topic you would like to discuss. And to let you know how all that works and how you can get involved in tonight's show, let me introduce you to my co-host, Mr. Michael Bailey. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Steve. How's it going?
Doing well, and yourself?
Oh, I could complain, but I'm not going to do that because that's not what people are here for. Well, there's that too. I mean, if I, like I told somebody yesterday, if I wanted to have a bunch of people ignore me, I'd talk to my sisters. That's not true. My sisters are lovely people. But you don't want to hear about my sisters. You don't want to hear about my day. You want to hear about Superman because WGBS Live is all about Superman. And because of that, we want to hear from the Superman fans that are watching us right now. So if we have enough time and if we don't have any technology problems, about halfway through the show, we'll take calls. So how do we do that? Well, it's really simple. You need Skype. Go to Skype, find Superman homepage, and message us that you'd like to be on the show. Now, a couple of things. One, message us, please. This technology is tenuous, even after over a decade of Skype being around. Also, if you use an external speaker to listen and watch WGBS Live, please turn that down because we are on a bit of delay, and that can kind of screw things up.
Yes, indeed. And for those who are tuning in live via YouTube to watch tonight's show, we invite you to join in and chat with fellow fans. Post your comments, ask questions, and Michael and I will keep an eye on those and react to your comments and questions as the show gets on. Now, if you want your comment featured live on screen during the show, feel free to post a super chat. That's what it's called. All you have to do is click on the dollar symbol in the chat screen. A slider will appear on your screen. You decide on a dollar amount that you're prepared to donate to the show, and we will feature your comment or question on screen. And a huge thank you to our sponsors and patrons, Douglas Meacham, John Patrick Van Pelt, and Tina Murray. We appreciate your support. And don't forget that we would like you to get involved by liking the show, leave a comment, press the thumbs up thing, subscribe, click on the bell so you receive notifications whenever we post a new video. You can join our membership program, a YouTube membership program. There's a little join button below, different levels of perks, or you can support us through patreon.com/Superman homepage. Well, Mike, it's been a rather slow news week in the world of Superman.
Mm-hmm.
Not much happening throughout the world of Superman. Anything catch your eye this week that's maybe not on our list of things to talk about?
Not really. Unfortunately, I guess fortunately. We joke on the weeks that there is a lot of news, that there is no news. But this week, like in the absence of news, people created news, or at least tried to. But we're going to be mentioning parts of that. It is interesting, though, to kind of see how people can't accept a win. Like, y'all won on the Snyder Cut thing, okay? It doesn't mean you have to jump into everybody's business when they're talking about it, when they're saying rational things about it. You won. You're not only getting what you wanted, you're getting more than what you wanted. So take the win, do your victory lap, and let people talk about it. Good Lord.
Indeed. A lot of people in the comments, and we are happy to see Tina, Mind the Gap, Mark, Leroy, Michael, John, and others join us this evening. But commenting on your shirt, Michael, a lot of people are very impressed with your shirt today.
Yeah, I haven't worn this one in a while. I bought it like 4 or 5 years ago, and I was digging through some other shirts, and I'm like, oh, I still have that. So yeah, this is it's from Walmart. Back when Walmart for a couple of years there was actually putting out some pretty cool shirts. But yeah, no, it's comfy, so I wore it.
Very nice. Okay, so let's get into the movie side of things. Oh, before I do. For those who live in the Southern Hemisphere, quick alert, Daylight Savings starts this coming weekend for people down under. So if you're in Australia, New Zealand, those kind of places, and you do the Daylight Saving thing, we'll be going forward an hour. So this show next week will be for Sydney time, Instead of 12:30 as it is now, it will be 1:30 p.m. Next Wednesday. So for people who are moving their clocks forward, be obviously alert the fact that this show will then be 1 hour later in the day because of daylight savings changing here in this region of the world. So got that out of the way. Public service announcement done.
Yeah, we got a couple more weeks of it.
Yeah, you guys November?
Yeah, it's like the
early November,
last week of October, first week of November, somewhere around there. I was looking it up because the UK, does UK do the same as you? Because it seems like the UK falls back faster than the United States too, and I was trying to figure out something for a practical reason.
Yeah, it's quite tricky this time of year when the times change in different regions of the world because of daylight saving, and everybody's trying to figure it out how it affects them. So we'll keep the show at 7:30 Pacific time as always, but so therefore it changes in other parts of the world if you are changing into daylight savings or going out of daylight saving mode. All right, so into the movie side of things. John says November 1st it is for you guys that you change, you fall back an hour. Or we spring forward an hour. So in the movie side of things, there was a report, according to Hollywood Reporter, that Henry Cavill, Ben Affleck, Gal Gadot, and Ray Fisher were supposedly getting involved this October in a week-long or maybe 2-week-long film shoot for additional scenes for Zack Snyder's Justice League. And there wasn't anything else beyond that other than the fact that they would be, as I said, the scheduled shoots were going to be taking place in October sometime. And that was all well and good. Everybody was like, hey, this is fantastic. And, wonder what it could be. Are these people in shape for those costumes? It takes obviously some time to get into shape to fit into the Superman, Batman costumes and what have you. Not that Henry's not always in shape pretty much. But then because of the fact that Henry's been doing some interviews for Enola Holmes, his new Netflix film where he plays the role of Sherlock Holmes, the interviews have been going up and people have been asking about, are you doing anything more for Justice League, for the Snyder Cut? And he's been, no, I'm not involved in anything. But the thing is here that you have to remember the timing of these things. The interviews with Henry for Enola Holmes would have been done weeks previously, and they would have an embargo date on, no, you cannot release your interview with Henry until the movie has premiered on Netflix, which between that time of those interviews and the Hollywood Reporter report, things could have changed, and Henry could have been contacted for shoots to be done in October, although you would think that for something like that to have take place, that he would need a lot of advance notice. They wouldn't just tell him a week or two before these shoots needed to be done. So there's a bit of confusion there as to whether or not Henry and Ben and the other guys are actually getting involved in extra scenes for Justice League.
Yeah, the interesting thing about this story is that it was the Hollywood Reporter. It's not like it was We Got This Covered or Cosmic Book News or somebody. Because then you would have been like, no. But it was the Hollywood Reporter, and it's a pretty reputable site. It's not like they're Heroic Hollywood, who basically now just, what would your favorite actor look like as your favorite comic book character? Our interns will make that happen for you. The one thing, the practical thing that you bring up, though, is, you kind of got to get in shape for these things. And, Henry's, we've seen videos of him recently, building computers and such, which would never have been a sexy thing like 20 years ago, but I digress. He's in good shape, but is he fit in that costume shape? I mean, those costumes are still extant. It's not like they burned them. It's not like the Warner Brothers wasn't that vindictive about how Justice League turned out. So, but you do have to get into a certain physical aspect. So what is if it's going to happen, is it going to be them in just like normal clothes? Like a postscript, or is it going to be a Bruce Wayne scene, or what is it? I mean, Ray Fisher, is going to be probably, in pajamas, and they're going to do CGI on him because he's mostly a CGI character. But the other three, they got to work. I mean, they're in good shape, but there's good shape, and then there's, wear the Batman costume shape, which is probably built for fitted for a certain body type. So it's a weird one, because this is like, part of me is just like, well, I don't care. Like, if they're going to do
really matter.
What it does, and this, what I alluded to earlier, is that it created the debate once again, is how finished was the Snyder Cut? Was it ready to go like some outlets were reporting or some people were saying, or was it a rough cut and that's why it's requiring more? I mean, you can't say that something's complete and then say we're going to spend $70 million more on this. So, and I've always been of the opinion that there was a rough cut. It was stitched together from all of the it's what they usually do in these cases, is they assemble what they have, they watch it, and then they decide from there what they need to do. Do we want to cut these scenes? Do we need pickup shots to make this story point that isn't as clearer? What do we want to do? And then they call people back, and people get back in their costumes and they shoot those scenes, and it's all edited together. So I just think it was I don't want to call it a work break, because sometimes it was a rough cut, and that's fine. I mean, there's nothing shameful about that. But again, the presentation was that this thing was ready to go, and you can't say something's ready to go and then say I need $70 million more to finish it. That's a little unbelievable. So, but also, to go back to the Snyder Bros for a second, if they're making this a 4-hour miniseries, then maybe you do need some more connective tissue to pad it out a little bit more. So it would make sense at that point to do some reshoots. But again, it's more complicated. One, with COVID, that's gonna, and I know recently they've worked on things to get, people shooting again in California. But also, again, these people work out for months ahead of time and keep working out while they're on set. It's not like once they get on set, Ben, Gal, and Henry are kicking back with a case of Foster's and some pizza. I mean, that's just not happening. But, are they going to put him in the costume, or is it going to be a CGI thing, or what? I mean, it's just... This is the one rumor that raises some actual interesting things to talk about and interesting things to debate.
Yeah. I have no doubt that being a 4-hour, 4-part special mini-series, if you like, requires some change-up, because if you've got to fit them into an hour and you've got to fit it and end it at a particular point that it's like a conclusion, so it makes sense, we need to end it here to get into the next. So it's got to be 4 episodes in a way, not just cut it at the end of a scene and move on. There's got to be a reason to end it at that point. Then it's going to change. There needs to be some modifications there, and so I can understand them needing to do some editing, some fixing, maybe some additional scenes. But as for the timing of when Henry would have been notified that these need to be done and all that, I don't know, as opposed to, when these interviews were conducted for Enola Holmes, which, by the way, was a fantastic film. I was really impressed with the whole Enola Holmes Netflix film. Henry's a really great version of Sherlock Holmes. He's not the main character. Obviously Enola, his sister, played by Billy Bobby Brown, is the main character, and she's also produced the film at such a young age. She's doing so well. But if you haven't seen it and you've got Netflix, I would highly recommend it, especially if you're a Sherlock Holmes fan. The movie is just a fun romp. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I haven't had a chance to sit down and watch it yet, but I was very impressed with some of the behind-the-scenes stuff that I've seen of her training to do the fight scenes that she was doing. I mean, for a 16-year-old, holy crap. But no, it's funny because I've seen a lot of people really liking Henry's performance, and another friend whose opinion I trust just as much said that she didn't really like his performance as Home. It's like nothing wrong with him personally. It's just she didn't like that take on Holmes. I watched a few scenes just to kind of get a preview. Henry is endlessly charismatic.
Yes.
Like, he can't help it. It's just he's just that good looking. But you can be good looking and a jerk. So I just think watching him kind of struggle as the nice brother, because Mycroft strikes me as a right jerk, as you would say. So, but no, I'm looking forward to it because I like seeing him in anything. It just seems like Henry's like, y'all ain't gonna make me Superman, so I'm just gonna work on Netflix for the rest of my life.
Well, you know what? I'm really impressed with Henry. Just to kind of on a sidetrack, I mean, I know Christopher Reeve during his time, came on the scene as Superman and struggled to break free of that typecasting in many ways. Somewhere in Time was a great film and done around the same time as Superman the movie. But he was really very much typecast as Superman. And while he did a lot of films and did really well in a lot of them, I'm just impressed at how well Henry has done in playing other iconic characters, and you don't necessarily feel that he's being typecast in any way. The Witcher is a great role, very different to his Superman character, and he's got the whole makeup and the wig and thing. And then as Sherlock Holmes, he just does that well. I could easily see him as the next James Bond, which I know there's a lot of talk about that happening. He just seems to be able to be very versatile in his choices as far as the characters that he plays, and does it really well. Not that Christopher Reeve didn't, but I just feel like Henry's been able to break away from that a little bit easier than Chris was able to.
We're also in kind of a different time because when you like look at for example the Marvel films, where you not only had two Sherlock Holmes in the various films as Doctor Strange and Iron Man, but you had two Watsons because Jude Law was in Captain Marvel and Martin Freeman was in Black Panther and Civil War. So we're at this point where, because of how the culture is, because in the 70s, late 70s and early 80s, when Christopher Reeve was playing Superman, there was still a very definite line between television actor and movie actor. And a television actor could escape television and go and be like a big movie star. But you hardly ever saw like movie actors come into television, and now they do it all the time. So it's easier, I think, not to get typecast because the people doing the typecasting aren't typecasting anymore. No one's looking at Christian Bale and saying he can only play Batman. No one's looking at Michael Keaton and saying he can only be Batman and I can't see him anything else, because they're just given all these other opportunities.
Yeah, for sure.
So, it's kind of a shame, though, because it would have been cool to see Christopher Reeve a little more secure in himself as an actor, to not feel that he was typecast, but that was society at the time, basically.
A different time. Get to our super chat question that was posted by John. He asked if we'll see Mark McClure as that policeman that we saw him in the Justice League movie. It was there in the theatrical cut. So, and I believe that was the Zack Snyder shot segment. So I don't see why he wouldn't be in the HBO Max version.
He wasn't as prominent, because he was going to be a cop on the ground in the scene where Superman goes crazy.
Yes.
And then that scene was kind of cut down, and then he was the prison guard, wasn't he? Wasn't he the guy that is like Barry signing in with? So, yeah, I wonder if that was the signing in scene was a Whedon shot, just to kind of like, okay, I'm cutting your scene out here, but I'm going to give you something else, Mark. We're not going to cut you out of this completely. So, yeah, it was such a blink and you'll miss it like cameo. Anyways, you had to know that was Mark McClure
for sure.
to know what was going on. So
yeah, and same with the Man of Steel cameo for I'm forgetting his name, who played the baby Kal-El.
Oh yeah.
Why am I skipping?
Why can't I remember his name? I can't think of his name either. He's such a nice guy. You see him on social media all the time.
Exactly.
But yeah.
Someone will remind us.
If you didn't know that was that dude, you would just be like, oh, that just looks like another soldier. So
yes, exactly. So I mean, it's good to have these cameos. Don't get me wrong, but if you, I guess they're more like, not necessarily cameos, but kind of like Easter eggs for the fans who do know. In many ways, I don't think a lot of people would have known, like in Superman Returns, that it was, Noel Neal, and Jack Larson. They're more like, as I said, Easter eggs than
Aaron
Smolinski.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark, for the. You just gave a small A, but we got it Smolinski from the end of it. Thank you. I'm sure that Mark McClure will have a role in Justice League Snyder's Cut when it gets to HBO Max in 2021. So we'll hang in there for that. But Henry has been doing a number of interviews for Enola Holmes, and he's said that he hadn't been in contact with the people for Zack Snyder's Justice League, that he wouldn't be doing any extra scenes. As people have said in the comments, I guess we'll know come October, when, because of the whole social distancing thing and people, knowing whether things are taking place, whether those shoots are actually happening, and if Henry is involved. I would lean towards the Hollywood Reporter knowing what they're talking about on this case, but it does seem like there is some conjecture about whether or not it is happening and whether or not Henry Cavill is involved, but we'll get there and find out for sure in the next couple of weeks. All right, so moving on to still some more movie news. And speaking of HBO Max and speaking of Henry Cavill, we now know that HBO Max will be showing Man of Steel in October, as of October 1st. Man of Steel will be amongst the slate of films joining the digital streaming service of HBO Max. This means that now the entire catalogue of DC Extended Universe films will be available on HBO Max. Man of Steel was the only one that hadn't been included. There was Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, Justice League, Wonder Woman, all the other movies included. But Man of Steel will now be part of the streaming service. And additionally, Superman fans who are subscribed to HBO Max as of October 1 will be able to also watch All-Star Superman, Superman vs. the Elite, Superman Batman Apocalypse, and Superman Batman Public Enemies. They will all be available on HBO Max from the start of October.
Yeah, they're really rolling it together, aren't they? They're really getting all those films together. It's what a time to be alive. Well, I say that. It's a horrible time to be alive, but at least we have things like this.
At least we are alive.
Yeah, well, that is very true.
So we'll count our blessings where we can get them. So yeah, if you're on HBO Max, Man of Steel will be there in a couple of days. So hang out for that. I'm sure you've all watched it, but it's always nice to know that it's there available at the press of a button if you want to check it out on HBO Max. All right, well, it's time for our regular segments, the Super Secret Soundbite and the Big Question segment of our show. So let's get into those. I'm going to play... Let's do the big question first.
Let's start with the big question.
All right, Michael, what was our big question from... Oh, I haven't given it to you. I should send
you
that information. I was just thinking that right now.
I was just looking at my email going, what have I done?
No, I'm sending that to you right now in the comments so that you can have it all together. There it is right there in Skype for you. So our big question from last month was, what did you think of Superman, Man of Tomorrow, the animated movie? who were our first respondents for this one?
First one was Ron Crosby, and I'm going to ask everyone to give me just a second to get adjusted to what I'm doing here because it's a little annoying. Just the setup. He says, I posted my thoughts in the Facebook group, but overall disliked it. After some thought, this may be my least liked Superman animated movie now. Lobo seemed like mostly filler and or fan service. I agree with Ron completely. That was me, not him. Clark learning about his heritage from Lobo and Martian Manhunter felt really wrong to me. The handling of the parasite was also bad. How did Martha, even with 15 saws, make that suit? LOL. And why was Clark wearing glasses as a child? I'll get to that in a second because I kind of like how they did that. It's one of the few things I did like. I did like Lex in this, and the voice actors were really good. I missed the old DCAU. It seemed like they were kind of pulling from Secret Origin there with the glasses, that he feels different, so this is something to kind of make him like some way to control his own destiny or whatever. So yeah, that was actually one of the few things about the film I liked.
Yeah. My next column in the Big Blue Report, our free newsletter that we send out from the Superman homepage, which will be going out in about 24 hours. So if you're not a subscriber, head to our website to subscribe to our Big Blue Report, will be my review of Superman Man of Tomorrow. We kind of discussed a little bit in our Broken Down show from a couple of weeks back. I actually I like this film. I didn't mind it at all. Yes, there are I have some issues with some of the characterizations, some of the change-ups, the inclusions of some characters like Martian Manhunter coming before Superman, that kind of stuff kind of irked me, but overall I was impressed with it. Stephen Marshall wrote in and he said, I liked it but didn't love it. It started off really well and Lobo stole the movie. My issues were the final act. Parasite just drained all that power and died. It just felt so anticlimactic. Still love the art and the voice cast. I agree with Steve and Marshall here with the art and the voice cast. I thought they were two highlights for me. I know a lot of people had some issues with the art style. I actually didn't mind it as a alternative to what we've seen previously. It had a more of a modern feel to it, but also had a bit of a throwback in some of the design styles and selections for especially the architecture. It reminded me very much of Superman the Animated Series and had that Art Deco type of feel to it. So, but the voice cast I think was a special highlight for me. I thought Darren Criss did a great job, and it's kind of crazy to think that he played Mixie, or a version of Mixie Spitalik in Supergirl.
I thought it was the Music Meister.
Pretty sure he played Mixie Spitalik, the one where he was in love with her and.
No, that was
no, that's not Darren Criss, is it?
Darren Criss was the Music Meister in the musical episode.
Yes. No, you're right.
So
Music
yeah,
Meister.
I was just, I was. It's kind of easy to get those two actors do kind of look similar, so that's fair. John Patrick Van Pelt wrote, I found Superman Man of Tomorrow animated movie interesting and different. One thing I did notice is Jonathan Kent voice, who was played by Neil Flynn, but to me it doesn't sound like his voice. It sounded like the original Superman the Animated Series voice by Mike Farrell. I did find it really good how they show, or cool how they show Superman / Kal-El's parents in the film and where he came from. I thought Darren Criss did a wonderful job playing Clark Superman. For someone who is as well known for his character Blaine Anderson from Glee from seasons 2 to 6. God, he was in the show that long? Good Lord. If you guys had to pick your favorite episode from Glee, what would it be along with favorite character? The other part of the film, the other part of the I found kind of funny was that Lobo saying we need to talk. Also, what was the point with Perry White not wanting to do Superman anymore and just doing reports on aliens for the Daily Planet instead? I do find the ending really good, but I'm not going to spoil it. It's funny. I actually thought for like 5 seconds that Jonathan Kent was voiced by Clancy Brown.
I could see that.
Because there's certain, like, just one that would have been cool because Clancy Brown could have done it. There wasn't a single part of the voice cast that I thought was bad. I just thought that some of them didn't get a lot to do. Like Lois and Lex were really kind of sidelined in this movie, which is surprising because usually Lois is front and center in these things. So, but I just hated that Perry White was a jerk. I hate that characterization of Perry White.
Yeah. Yeah, Perry didn't come across as lovable, but Gruff, he came across as being a total jerk and not the kind of boss you'd want to work for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just I get it that they're going for that more J. Jonah Jameson look, and I've talked to people who are reporters, and most of them do tell me that their editors are jerks. But the thing is that I'm not watching Superman to watch a realistic depiction of journalism. I'm watching, and we're spoiled because, yeah, John Hamilton was like barking at Clark and Jimmy and Lois all the time because it was like the three reporters that worked at the Daily Planet for him. But he like as the series went on, he was more of a grandfatherly figure.
Yeah.
And, certainly in the radio show, he didn't believe a word anybody said, but when push came to shove, he backed up his reporters, and Lane Smith was the same way. So I guess and in the comics, he's been portrayed as kind of the kindly grandfather type editor. So when you have these times where people are just like showing him yelling at Clark and Lois, I'm like, that doesn't really feel like Perry to me.
In the question from John, are there any really good Parasite stories in the comics I should check out, he asks.
That's an excellent question, and the fact that we don't have a story to pop up. He was treated Secret Origin, which is like they took that as like a template and then actually made the guy like likable instead of somebody that was just getting money from Clark to buy donuts. I see, the weird thing is that in the post-Crisis universe, he wasn't initially a Superman villain. He was a Firestorm villain.
Okay.
That crossed over and then became the purple parasite of Porcupine Peak. I don't know why that came out of my mouth, but it just
Purple
did.
people eater.
Well, actually, it's the peculiar purple pie man of Porcupine Peak from Strawberry Shortcake. I had to do the rat-tat-tat-tat-tat thing. Actually, I didn't. I'm just in a goofy mood tonight. There hasn't really been like a definitive Parasite story. When I'm thinking about it, there really hasn't been. I mean, he's one of the more powerful rogues. I will say that I like the story that Robert Venditti wrote. That's the first issue of the Man of Tomorrow digital series that was part of the Walmart. I thought the Parasite was treated really cool there. But yeah, there's not a lot of like classic Parasite stories.
No, I think if you're a fan of the Parasite, then it's definitely the Superman, the animated series, that kind of does the character best. So.
Yeah, no, I'll agree with that too. They did just about all the villains fantastic on that show, so that's kind of a ringer when you think about it.
And speaking of the villains from Superman the Animated Series, that's my background at the moment.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yes,
it looks great.
Well, we had Lex Luthor's birthday this week. Traditionally speaking, his birthday was celebrated, I think it was on the 28th. We'll get to that in this week in history, but so I thought I'd put some villains behind me for the show. Michael, for your rat-a-tat-tat, you couldn't hear it because you're not listening to the show live, but there was a round of applause by the crowd noise that I played, so people are kind of commenting on that. Keep forgetting to do some of these sound effects that they're at the tip of my fingers here to press a button, so I thought I'd throw that one in. All right, we're just over the halfway mark of tonight's show, so we're going to take a quick break, then we're going to come back on the flip side after these messages to do the Super Secret Soundbite segment of our show. So we'll be back right after these messages. Don't go anywhere.
We'll be back in a moment with the exciting climax of today's episode. So stand by.
Look! up in the sky.
It's a bird.
It's a plane. No, it's SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. SupermanHomepage.com, covering the world of Superman from the 1930s to today. News, reviews, rumors, and reports. SupermanHomepage.com for all your Superman comics, TV shows, movies, cartoons, radio shows, and more. Everything you ever wanted to know about the Man of Steel and more. SupermanHomepage.com.
Thanks, Superman Homepage, for all the support over the years. I really appreciate it.
I'm Matt Bomer. I'm the voice of Superman in Superman Unbound, and this is the Superman Homepage.
Right here on Superman Homepage.
He's faster than a speeding bullet. He's more powerful than a locomotive. He can leap tall buildings in a single bound. Who is he? He's Superman!
Now you can see scenes from Superman the movie on a ViewMaster viewer. Just put in a reel and click. You can see Superman, the legendary Man of Steel, in action. You can invite the whole gang over to see him. ViewMaster viewer and Superman the movie packets sold separately in most photo or toy departments.
And we're back on WGBS TV Live, where if you want to be part of our show, head to Skype or open up Skype, search for Superman Homepage, and then message us saying that you want to be a caller on tonight's show. And we just saw the ad there for the Superman the movie Viewmasters, which kind of quickly reminds me that Superman the movie is showing at various locations around the United States. I think I kind of missed over that, but if you want to see Superman the movie on the big screen, then the locations for that this week till Thursday are the Amstar 16 in Macon, Georgia, and the Grand 14 Ambassador in Lafayette, Louisiana. So they're showing, there are different screening times for those days, each day this week through to Thursday, October 4th, if you want to see the movie on the big screen.
Yeah, there's nothing much else going on in Macon, so yeah, that doesn't surprise me. So.
All right. So to the super secret soundbite. Here is our intro.
Only one thing alive with less than 4 legs can hear this frequency, Superman, and that's you.
All right, Michael. What was our super secret soundbite from last month?
I never heard it. Oh, it's the sorry. I'm once again lost in my notes. Last month came from Justice League Action animated series entitled Mixie Mix Up.
Yep.
That's a cute thing. Let's hear it again.
Let's hear it again. Here was the sound from last month.
Hey, what's up with my man hands?
Great Scott! I'm in Batman's suit.
Not just my suit, Superman. Mixius Pitilix played musical chairs with our minds.
So there you have it. The sound involved Superman, Batman, and Stargirl, and Mixius Pitilix had moved their minds into each different person's body. So Superman was in Batman's body, Batman was in Stargirl's body, and Stargirl was in Superman's body. So it was one of Mixie's little tricks, and yes, it's a fun episode. And Justice League Action is a much missed little animated series that had a very short run on Cartoon Network, but it was fun nevertheless. So who guessed where the sound came from, Michael?
Well, we got 3 people who guessed it right. We have Mike Zumo, John Patrick Van Pelt, and Stephen Marshall.
Well, congratulations to those 3 people for guessing where that sound came from. Here is our new super secret soundbite. See if you know where in the world of Superman this sound comes from.
I just wanted to let you know I'll be in late tomorrow. I'm having breakfast with Bruce.
Isn't that special?
So there you have it. Lois Lane saying she's having breakfast with Bruce. Do you know where in the world of Superman that sound comes from? If you do, head to the Superman homepage, look under the favorites menu, or I think it's the contact us menu, and you'll find the super secret soundbite entry form. So get involved in the super secret soundbite. We forgot the new big question. How could we forget?
Yeah, I was...
So quickly, jumping back to the big question segment of our show, what is our new question for people to get involved in?
who do you think should take over the writing of the Superman comic books? We should probably get a lot of responses to this one.
Yeah, so Brian Michael Bendis is leaving with the December issues of Superman and Action Comics, we now know. So in January, we will have a new writer or new writers coming on board the main Superman comic book titles. So let us know who you think or who you would like to take over as writer or writers for the Action Comics and Superman titles. Get involved with the Big Question segment of our show. Again, under the Contact Us menu, the contact menu at the Superman homepage website, you will find the Big Question segment feedback form, and you'll be able to respond there, and we will read out the responses for everyone who sends in their thoughts on this question when we come back to these segments at the end of October. So again, involve in both the Super Secret Soundbite and the Big Question segments of our show, and we will get to those in the final show of October. What are you smirking at?
Mark Lax in the comments saying, I have a list.
Yes. So we'll send that in, Mark. And another compliment for your shirt from Justin, Michael.
Yeah. I apparently I need to wear this shirt more. I mean, I'm becoming a fashion plate.
John in the comments says he can only think of people who shouldn't take over as writer of the comic books.
Yeah,
that's probably a longer list.
You know, it's funny because those are two. I don't know if I'd call them worthwhile lists, but they're two legitimate lists at least.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, let's move on. And speaking of comic books, here is the comic books that are out this week for Superman fans who are comic book readers. Just quickly turn off my graphics here, turn on the graphics that we need. This week's comics are Batman, Superman, Annual #1. Yes, it's the time of year for the annuals to come out. And it's really strange because annuals really aren't anything more than extra-sized issues of the same story that we're currently reading usually. This day and age, where they used to be kind of event type or themed-based stories. We also have Dark Knight's Death Metal Multiverses End one-shot that is out this week, and it is available in this variant cover. Yep, Captain Carrot. We move on to Justice League Annual #2. That is also out this week. And also out this week is Legion of Superheroes #9, which is also available in a cool-looking variant cover right there. And we have reviews of both Justice League Annual #2 and Legion of Superheroes #9 already up on our website, but you will be able to check out the review of Batman Superman Annual #1 in the next few days once that's posted.
Woo!
Yeah, so annuals used to be a real kind of a special thing. Now that I think they're just a reason to get more money off us for an exercise issue.
Or a place where they would dump the conclusion of a story that's late.
Yes.
I'm looking at you, Last Sun and Camelot Falls. Back in the 90s, DC started doing, like around 91, what Marvel was doing for a couple years there, of having their events happen, and then they did the Elseworlds and the Year One, and then Legends of the Dead Earth, which I said, and I'm about to fall asleep because I was not a fan of those. It was, though, of course, the greatest of all time, the GOAT, as they say, JL8.
JL8. I was just thinking that very thing.
Hands down. JL8 has to be.
Greatest annual of all time. There you go. All right. Looking to the merchandise side of things, a couple of upcoming statues and action figures were announced this past week. Pride One Studio announced the upcoming release of their Dark Knight Metal Superman statue. Whoop, I turned the Legion of Superheroes off there. There we go. Inspired by David Fincher's variant cover for the comic book Dark Knight Metal #3, which is exclusive to Bulletproof Comics. This statue depicts the Dark Multiverse Superman from that 6-issue miniseries that came from 2017 to 2018, written by Scott Snyder and with art by Greg Capullo and Jonathan Glapion. and no pre-orders are available yet, but it will be available soon. It's an interesting design. What do you think?
You know, when I think of Superman, I think of a skull codpiece.
It's like...
It is what it is. I mean, these statues are... I mean, it seems like every week there's a new Superman statue, which years ago probably would have made me happy, but now I'm like, who can afford all of these things? I just don't like the design of that costume. I mean, I realize that it's for the metal thing, so it's going to have that kind of over-the-top aspect to it. But yeah, I'm just looking at that and going, wow, that's an ugly Superman costume.
It's like Grayskull and Superman merged.
Like this is the worst He-Man Superman crossover ever.
So yeah, there you have the statue for Prime One Studios, Dark Knight's Metal Superman, and we'll let you know when that is available for pre-order. But also available in 2021 will be the McFarlane Toys Superman Red Sun action figure, which is a nice-looking figure. Again, an alternative Superman costume, obviously based on the 2003 Superman Red Sun Eisner Award-winning graphic novel written by Mark Miller and drawn by Dave Johnson and Killian Plunkett. And this is not yet available for pre-order, but will be available. Seems like they're just doing all these pre-announcements before even pre-orders, before even ordering is available.
Yeah, I was watching like one of those little videos that you can find like on Instagram of McFarlane showing off some of the figures from this assortment. You know, I gotta hand it to McFarlane Toys, and I'm not even being sarcastic here. I have been incredibly impressed with the speed in which they kick out these action figures lines, and the fact that unlike Mattel, they actually restock.
Nice.
So if you miss it, it's possible that it'll be there. Like you know, I was like freaking out because I was like, I gotta get the Superman ones. And so I bought them immediately, and they were sold out. And then like 2 months later, they were back. And one of the local Walmarts actually got the Superman Unchained Armor one, which I thought I was going to have to order online because I always had to. But looking at this figure, which is impressive, except that it has the pointy cape, which I hate, I want them to go all out with this and give us figures we've never gotten before. I want the Krypton Man suit from that storyline. I want, you know, I'm shocked that they haven't done the Gladiator Superman from Exile yet. I mean, these would just be great action figures, and I would buy all of them.
Well, there you have it. So, yeah, we don't know any schedule time for this release yet, but we'll give you a preview of it there. And heaps of people sharing your love of McFarlane Toys. Justin saying they're awesome. And John saying they're killing me with his endless Batman figures. And Tina saying she likes this one better, even though she's not even a Red Sun fan. So, Mark saying he doesn't like McFarlane himself, but he loves the toys.
McFarlane's a controversial
quirky character.
Yeah.
All right, for fans of in Brazil, the Brazilian Festival of Comics 2020, Sierra Comics, is celebrating Superman in the Justice League Action animated series, which we heard from before, and they are giving away. I just bring up the graphic for you there. Moving off from McFarlane Toys. So this year will be officially commemorating Superman in the animated series Justice League Action. There will be a original Justice League Action blank variant released, drawn by Rodrigo Draw Miguel, which will be a prize given away to one lucky fan. And this will be, obviously, like all the other festivals and Comic-Cons happening at the moment, a free Google Classroom broadcast via that platform, which will take place in the last week of October. So if you're a fan, especially from Brazil, and you want to check this out, the last week of October, head to our website for the full details and sierracomics.com.br for even further details on this event.
to answer Mind the Gap's question, would I buy a Gangbuster McFarlane toy? If they made an action figure of Gangbuster, I'd probably buy 2. In all honesty, I'm not going to do like a friend of mine did. That when Total Justice came out, said that if they released an Aquaman with the hook hand, he'd buy 12. Which he did, surprisingly.
12.
But yeah, he bought 12 Aquaman hook hand Total Justice action figures. They're really kind of cool to see them all together. But no, if they would do, they'd probably, unfortunately, give him an Uzi like he had in Trinity, which is, exactly what I think of when I think of Gangbuster as a gun-toting maniac. But no, I mean, it's just like, look, if you're going to say, hey, Mike, would you like an action figure from the post-crisis era? The answer is almost always yes.
There you have it. So you know where to get Michael's money if you want to produce action figures and toys and things like that. All right, we have time for a This Week in History. So
yes, we do.
Let's get to that. And we might have time for a call. We'll see how we go. All right, so here is your intro.
Come with me now, my son, as we break through the bottom of your earthly confinement, traveling through time and space.
You know what we should do, Steve, before I get into this, is like do a crystalline version of your head and put that like right at the end. I think that would be great. Okay, guys, we're going to stick with the September issues because I'm sure there's early October issues, but I couldn't be bothered. September 29th, 1950, we have World's Finest Comics number 49, which has Robin playing checkers with a robot on the cover. This is still not yet when World's Finest had team-up books, so you had a Superman story, The Men Who Shot Superman, and a Batman story separate, even though they appear on the cover together. Jumping forward to 1960 on, again, September 29th. It was a busy day. Action Comics number 270, which shows an old Superman on the cover, watching Supergirl as she flies over with Krypto, who's still alive. Good on you, Krypto. It's the Superman story was The Old Man of Metropolis, and Supergirl's story was Supergirl's Busiest Day. Also on the same day, Adventure Comics number 270 out, and it's got Supergirl in Smallville. With her working on what looks like a Superboy robot with the Kents. I'm sure that this is an imaginary story. I'm not 100% sure. One of my favorite covers of all time, it was in 1970. It was Action Comics number 394, and it is Superman burning piles of money as Lois begs him not to. This was the Midas of Metropolis. It also has a story called Requiem for a Hot Rod. But yeah, that's one of those covers that I would see in Superman from the 30s to the 70s. If you want to see fashions and how Supergirl's costume would change over the years, Supergirl was on the cover of Adventure Comics number 399, and my God, is that a busy costume. I also like it's like Johnny D. Bum, so that's kind of funny. Jumping ahead to 2000, because 1980 and 1990 didn't really have anything. Once again, we have Supergirl number 50, which was the climactic part of a storyline that ran for years. And soon after that, Supergirl would adopt the animated look in the comics, and her powers would be taken down. Also, one of my favorite issues of Action Comics of all time, Action Comics number 771, Superman teaming up with Nightwing, written by Chuck Dixon. Anytime Superman and Nightwing got together in this era, it was awesome. And that's a really nice cover, too. God, Superman looks good on there. And jumping ahead to 2010, Action Comics number 893 is part of the Lex Luthor storyline, and there was the Jimmy Olsen backup in, the second feature. Jimmy Olsen's big week, day one. But this was the Black Ring storyline. That actually turned out a lot better than I was going to give it credit for originally. I would tell you what happened in September, but Steve has already updated the site to October, so I can't do that.
Yeah, well, I think the only thing that happened in September this week, as I said, was Lex Luthor's birthday, which took place, I think it was on the 28th of September, and that's traditionally speaking, we also, coming up, have Melissa Benoist's birthday this week. She is born on October 4th, 1988 in Houston, Texas. So we wish Melissa a happy birthday for this coming week. And that is this week in history. So...
I just got a ping on the comments that I need to do a Bibbo impersonation and not say Soder. So happy birthday, Melissa. You're my second favorite.
There you go, Venkman. I hope that satisfies your Bibbo fix for this week. Sadly, we won't have time to take a call. I know Mark was waiting on the line if that was a possibility. We apologise, Mark. Hopefully we can get you on next week. But I did want to try to do something which is like a new segment in some ways, which we are calling... I'm going to bring it up here. So, the fan favourite question, your question, we want to ask you for this time next week. So, think about it. You can send us an image, a photo if you like. I want to ask you, the fans out there, our regular viewers, what is your favourite collectible that you have? So something in your Superman collection that is your favourite. Think about it. If you have a chance, take a photo of it and send us a photo of it. You can be posing with it if it's a t-shirt that you like, a hat, pair of socks, maybe it's an action figure, whatever it is, your favourite Superman collectible. Go away, think about it, take a photo of it, send it to us. Use the feedback form at the Superman homepage. You'll find it under the contact menu. And you can send us your photo, or you can email me directly, info@supermanhomepage.com. Send us an email, and I will feature those next week on our show. We're going to try to do a regular segment where we're going to ask you a question and get you involved. So if you're a regular viewer of our show, one of our fans, and I know there are plenty of them, 20 of them viewing right as we speak live, and I know there are heaps that watch it once the show is archived and up on the website after the fact. Get involved, find your favourite thing, send it to us, and we will feature it here next week when we do this regular segment that I hope will be a new thing that we can continue to do each week. And I saw you looking around at your shelf, Michael.
Yeah, I was thinking about what I would bring to show and tell. Mind the Gap says, where was it said that it was Lex Luthor's birthday? Back in the late 70s, DC put out some calendars.
Yes.
And they had on the pages, like, I guess it was E. Nelson Bridwell that did this, who was a writer and editor at the time. And he just, like, gave everybody birthdays. And like, this is the day Superman's rocket landed. This is the day... they didn't do this is the day the Waynes were shot. But that would be a weird thing to commemorate on a calendar. But no, they were cool little things. So Steve, I'm assuming... just took that and just used that as the template for all that stuff.
Yep, indeed. It was an official DC calendar from a couple of years back, and that's where we get those traditionally remembered dates. Well, that is it for this week. Before we do sign off, I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in to this week's edition of WGBS TV Live. I want to thank our sponsors, Douglas Meacham, Tina Murray, and John Patrick Van Pelt. Remember, if you want to sponsor the Superman homepage, you can do so for as little as $1. All you have to do is head to patreon.com/Superman homepage, or you can join our our YouTube membership. Just click the join button, and there are different levels of perks, and you can become a sponsor that way as well. I want to thank everyone on the YouTube channel who watched us live tonight. Thank you for your comments and your questions and your involvement in tonight's show. And thank you to you, my co-host, Mr. Michael Bailey. Thank you, Mike.
Pleasure as always, Steve.
And don't forget, we'll be back next week on Tuesday, October 6th at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time for another edition of WGBS TV Live. Remember, if you're in the Southern Hemisphere and you do change daylight saving moving forward, this show will move forward an hour in your day. But we look forward to talking with you then. Until then, be sure to check out supermanhomepage.com for all your daily news updates on everything surrounding the Man of Steel. I'm Steve Eunice on behalf of myself and Michael Bailey. Thanks for watching WGBS TV Live, brought to you by supermanhomepage.com.